Okay, one of the most insane historical facts has got to be when Iran took a bunch of American hostages in 1979, but then decided to free all the black hostages and the women. Why did Iran do this, you ask? Well, first we got to go back a little bit to why Iran took hostages in the first place. And when you understand this, you also understand why Iran and the USA don't really like each other to this day. You see, Iran had a problem. You see, back before the 1950s, Iran's oil industry was basically completely taken over by the United States and Britain. Iran was barely getting a share of their oil. Iran said, knock, knock, knock. Hello, United States, Britain, can we have our oil back? United States and Britain said, who said we got your oil? Iran said, boy, we not stupid out here. We see y'all scamming us. United States and Britain said, you got us. We not finna lie, but we not giving your oil back though, for real. So Iran voted in a new prime minister that took back Iran's oil. The United States said, ooh, we can't have that. Call in the CIA. The CIA pulls up, that boy gone. The United States brings in a new guy, the Shah, and he's very friendly towards the United States. Iran said, the Shah said, look, y'all didn't even give me a chance for real. Yeah, fast forward 20 years later, he gave away all of Iran's oil and had very oppressive policies towards the people. The people of Iran said, time's up. The Shah said, time's up. Boy, you know what I got behind me? Root, root, root. Big dog United States. The Iranian people said, all right, let's see if they get to you in time. The Iranian people rose up and started hunting them down. The Shah said, oh, them folk tripping. He calls the United States. He said, yo, them folk trying to get me. The United States said, chill, we're going to get an airplane. We're going to come pick you up. We can't let our assets, our friends, suffer. The Shah gets on a plane and he dips. He said, I'll see y'all folk in the States. The people of Iran looked at the United States and said, bring back the Shah. The United States said, no, the Shah is sick. We can't give him to you right now. Iran said, we got hospitals here and jails. Bring him over. The United States said, no. And we still gonna take your oil because we're gonna bring in a new guy to still take your oil. This was the last straw for Iran. Iranian college students stormed the United States embassy and take everybody hostage. They said, bring back the Shah. The United States said, release the hostages. What are your demands? Iran said, well, they're pretty reasonable. 1, we want the Shah back. 2, we want you to leave us and our oil alone. The United States said, no. If there's something you gotta know about the United States of America, is it's very hard to negotiate with. The United States wants it all at all times. They said, hostage, y'all gonna have to hold it down. The hostage said, the United States said, counteroffer, we keep the Shah, we keep the oil, and you give us the hostages. Iran's new supreme leader, Khomeini, said, look at my face. Do I look like I'm finna play with y'all? Give us back the... Hold on. Are those black people? Now here's where things start to get wicked. Khomeini looked at the black hostages and said, don't the United States be like oppressing y'all and messing with y'all too? Black people said, well, Khomeini said, oh no, y'all are free to go. Plus the women, y'all are free to go. The white hostages said, Jamal, ain't you gonna put in a good word for me? He said, my name's Eric. He said, Andre, we're not here to argue about semantics. This is a serious situation. Go talk to them folk. Put in a good word for me. Black people said, all right, give us your number. I'm going to call you on my iPhone. We're going to put in a good word. White people said, iPhones haven't been invented yet. Black people said, exactly. Call me when they get invented. Oh, them folk dipped. Except a black man named Carl. Now, I don't know if this is him, but this picture goes with what I'm saying. You see, Carl was a Marine, but he was also a radio operator in the Marines. So he was privy to very sensitive information. Carl said, okay, we packing our bags, we going. They said, Carl, you can't come. Carl said, y'all see my skin color, right? They said, yeah, Carl, but you privy to info. You're going to have to hold it down. Carl said, ain't this about it? But Carl was released 2 years later with the rest of the hostages because President Jimmy Carter, after a lot of back and forth, there's a lot more to the story than this, finally made a deal with Iran basically saying, okay, we're going to leave you alone. Just release the hostages. Iran didn't get the Shah because the Shah actually passed away. And side note, since Jimmy Carter took so long to get the hostages released, Reagan used that against him to get elected over Jimmy Carter, and Reagan then ruined the world. But that's a story for another day. Side note, to Jimmy Carter's credit, even though he lost the election, he still worked on getting the hostages until his last day in office. In fact, he got the hostages released on his last day in office. And well, even after the hostages were released, Iran and the United States relationship had never been the same since. And in fact, before the hostage crisis and after the hostage crisis, there were many more little incidents that happened between the US and Iran. What's happening today is just another piece in a story that's been ongoing for about 100 years. They just haven't taught you it in your history books. A story that I hope ends peacefully and sooner rather than later.